Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United, and it's more trouble at Tut Mill as United's board look like they've messed up again. We'll be talking about the managerial approach that is causing mayhem on the United hierarchy. Also more around Ndidi. Another report this morning coming out that we're in talks with him. Manchester United also looking at more midfielders, but potentially in the next few days as well as the summer. We've got some incredible stuff coming in around Man United's amazing way to make more money. Is it future? You know, they're talking about one of these big, massive screens. You know, the one in LA where you can buy a season ticket to watch games at Old Trafford when we're not playing at Old Trafford. So you'd sit in like the Stretford end with a big screen in front of you for away games. You'd probably pay like £20 for a bottle of water. You know, Brian Robson probably sings Agadoo, stuff like that. Just more money going into the club. But as my granddad always said to me, give a man £10 and he'll make you a millionaire. Give a man £1 million and he'll make you bankrupt. It's not about the money, it's about what you do with it. And we have got clowns running the show. I think that's the problem at Manchester United, and we'll start off with that this morning, because what we're hearing this morning is from multiple sources. You've got the Mirror talking about De Zerbi and Tuchel. There's another source saying that Vivell is pushing for Nagelsmann. There's even talk of Michael Carrick getting the job. And I think that with regards to, look, let's just say this. I think that the big problem we have at Man United is not ex-players. I mean, have you know? I'll talk about that later. The spin that's going out that even TalkSport are playing the game now. But look, we'll talk about more important stuff. Let's stick to the manager for a moment. So multiple sources this morning talking, multiple outlets talking about Man United's preference. And De Zerbi does keep getting mentioned. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to the Marseille-Liverpool watch-along tonight. It's a long time since I've watched the De Zerbi team play. And, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of interest in Mason Greenwood as well. But I think that I'm looking forward to watching them play, because De Zerbi is a name that's featured very, very highly for Manchester United. Vivell wants Nagelsmann. There's no secret about that. I mean, I spoke to somebody about 6 months ago. Our source said it a couple of weeks ago. Vivell will push for Nagelsmann. He loves Nagelsmann. He's got a great relationship with him. It's an intelligent move, actually. I mean, actually, let me just say this. I don't think anybody on Man United's board comes out of the situation at the moment smelling of roses. Vivell pushes for young players at the wrong club, in my opinion. I don't think that our strategy around signing players is very good. Wilcox has just had a nightmare. You know, he's been here from the start. We've sacked Ashworth, we've sacked Ten Hag, we've sacked Amorim, all decisions he was involved in. Barada, I think he just smiles or looks miserable. And as DJ United said, there's too many opinions. You've absolutely nailed it, mate. You should be presenting the show. You're absolutely spot on. There are too many opinions in the club. And whilst I don't agree with Vivell's strategy, that's what he is. If you bring Vivell into Man United, he's going to go out and try and buy the next Caicedo. You know, he's going to want to get Sesko. You can't criticise a guy who, you know, it's like recruiting the script. You know, it's like recruiting Gary Barlow. No, he's a bad example. It's like recruiting Ian Beale from EastEnders and expecting him to compete with Leonardo DiCaprio for an Oscar. He's a soap actor. He's not a proper actor. So I've just upset thousands of soap actors now, but it's true. And if you recruit Vivell and he buys people under 23, you can't moan at him for not buying Ollie Watkins, because that's not what he's there to do. And I think there's such a mishmash in United's board at the moment that we're going to get the manager. Look, we're definitely going to get the manager recruitment wrong. I was speaking to a journalist about this a couple of days ago. You can probably guess who. And we were talking about the managers. And there's just such, and this is well-sourced information from the club, there is so many different opinions on so many different things. Like Vivell will want a Sesko. Wilcox will come up with his own idea. Barada's got his own idea. And then you've got Sir Jim Radcliffe, who's got his own idea. And the manager recruitment's going to be a bloody mess. So you're going to have Vivell going, I want the Nagelsmann, right? Somebody in the club wants De Zerbi. Let's pretend it's Barada. Wilcox probably wants the job himself, but if it's not him, he probably likes Carrick. And then Sir Jim Radcliffe probably wants Tuchel. So you've got 4 people there. Now, some people think this is great. Some people think, well, this is great. You've got 4 different opinions in the boardroom. You argue it out. But that's not life. That's not life. You know, we had it at Christmas Eve. Me, the kids, the wife, right? I want to watch Home Alone at 6 o'clock. 2 of them want to watch Elf. And somebody else says, let's put Love Actually on early. And I'm like, you've got to negotiate. You've got to come to a conclusion of what you're going to watch, right? Needless to say, we didn't watch Home Alone. But the point is, I wasn't happy. You know, you get one shot at Christmas Eve once a year. I wanted to watch Home Alone at 6 o'clock with a bowl of Quality Street, a few nuts, and a lovely can of lager, right? I didn't get to do it. Elf was a good watch, but that's democracy, that's a decision. And I think this is what's happening at United. You might all agree on De Zerbi, but initially, Nagelsmann is what Vivell wants. Tuchel is what somebody else wants. And, you know, maybe Carrick is what somebody else wants. So this is the misdirection of the football club that really is a problem. You can argue about the competence of the board. I don't think the board's very competent at all. But within the board, it would almost be better if you had 4 incompetent people who all agreed than having 4 incompetent people with different opinions, because that compounds the incompetence. So I don't know where we're going to end up on this, and I don't know who's going to make the final decision, but I don't think we're going to get the manager that we should be getting anyway. And what I would say about De Zerbi is, because there's a lot of talk about De Zerbi this morning, and it might be because Liverpool are playing Marseille, but there's a lot of talk about De Zerbi. Honestly, what's your thoughts on De Zerbi being Man United's manager? I think he will never win as a Premier League. He will never win as a Champions League. Now, does that not confirm, that doesn't make it a bad appointment, but is that not where Man United are now? Like, I did the video when Amrim got sacked. I don't see a way back for Manchester United. So if we appoint De Zerbi, we won't win the Premier League. You'll have to sack him to get a manager that can. So is he the guy before the guy? Or is he the guy before the guy before the guy? Or is he the guy who takes us further down? Or is he the guy that just gets us 5th place until we build the stadium? But De Zerbi won't win Man United Premier League. I just know he won't. I know he's not a Premier League winner. He's not going to win a Premier League. Even if he goes to bloody Arsenal, he's not going to win a Premier League. He's just not that guy, in my opinion. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's the guy that rebuilds Man United. I just don't get that vibe at all. I'd love to be wrong. I'm not the Oracle, but I don't see it. I think De Zerbi, you know, like Maresca, you know, it's like he might do okay, but he won't be the guy that wins us the league. So why are we recruiting somebody like that? And again, I just feel like that's United sort of like, you know, I don't think that, I don't think goes back to, I don't know whether it was Paul Scholes said it or whoever, somebody said it quite recently, the people in the club don't understand what Man United is all about. And that to me would be the big problem. We'll come back to that though, because there is a bit of news about Ndidi this morning. But just before I do that, just on Vivell, I don't have a problem with Vivell, right? I have a massive problem with Wilcox. I have a massive problem with Barada. I have a massive problem with Sir Jim Radcliffe. I think they're bloody useless. Look, I consume football. You consume football. You know things about football. I know the name Vivell. I remember when he went to Chelsea. I know about the RB group. That's why I was excited about Ranić. He is a very, very interesting individual in relation to his repertoire or CV of recruiting good young talent. And it was an exciting appointment for Manchester United. But if you get your strategy wrong, for you, it doesn't matter. You know, I remember a relative of mine saying, and he used to use this for women, so you shouldn't get offended by it because it was probably the 90s. So when he was talking about women, he used to like class them as cars. Not in relation to what was a good ride, but more about like, he'd say, look, you can go for a Ferrari of a woman. And on special occasions, everyone's going to go, wow, that's amazing. But very, very expensive to run, very, very unreliable, only really good in certain conditions, and actually below the bonnet, there's not much there. Looks, basically. And then he'd go, or you can go for a Volvo, where very few people are going to criticise a Volvo for how it looks. Massively economical, very, very safe, very, very reliable. A good pick. Or if you want something, you could go for something like a 4x4, which is very good in difficult conditions, little bit expensive, and if you like that sort of thing, big and bulky. But not everyone likes that. So recruiting players can be a little bit like that as well, because It depends what you want. And also what he said was that don't always go for the new car. You could buy a brand new Volvo that's reliable and all those things, and it could have a defect from the factory. When sometimes you're better off buying a 5-year-old Volvo that's roadworthy and you know its history. And it's the same with signing players, isn't it, for Man United? But look, that was the 90s. He's no longer with us anymore, got knocked over by a Range Rover. But the point is, I still think it's relevant for our recruitment. Like, Vivell is a very particular car purchaser, isn't he? You know, he wants fresh off the factory line, you know, not reliable. You know, you've got to work at it. And this is where I think Man United are going wrong on recruitment of players and on recruitment of manager. I think some fans want the 4x4, some people want the Ferrari. I just want the bloody Volvo. I do just want the Volvo. I want the player that's 28, that's got a few miles on the clock and has still got plenty more left on the clock, that's reliable, economical, safe and consistent, you know, and not bad to look at. You know, that's the player I think. I think Man United should be buying Volvos, not Ferraris and not Range Rovers, and certainly not old bangers, and certainly not concept electric cars. I think we should be going for Volvos. That's what we should be buying. I think we should be buying players who, I mean, look, I was looking at Arsenal's recruitment, right? I was looking at Man City's recruitment. I was looking at Liverpool's recruitment over the last 5 years, and I was looking at, we're basically Chelsea, you know? The real one says go for the Lamborghini for the win. I mean, I think United do not need Lamborghinis. A Lamborghini would be someone like Alexis Sanchez, who just is not going to do it week in, week out and can't be arsed, but on certain days will do it. We don't need Lamborghinis. I mean, Man United as a team, what would you say Man United are as a team, as a car? Because we're definitely not a Volvo. We're definitely not an Audi. We're nothing German. We're not efficient and we're not well run and we're not consistent. We would be a car that on its day, as a Formula One car, we'd be the bloody Ferrari, wouldn't we? We would be the Ferrari because we're a car that on its day can win a race, but across a season, you know, we'll finish last every now and again. But anyway, look, going back to what I was saying, I do think, just before we move on to a little bit of news, this is where the board are going wrong. There are too many cooks spoiling the broth. There are too many people involved. You know, I was nearly said it's like a threesome when you don't want the other person involved. You know, you just want to get on with it. And the point is, that's what United are doing. We're going to make the same mistake with the manager as we're going to make with players. We're obsessed with Chelsea's model of buying players under a certain age to promote, you know, to sell them later or develop them later. And it might, you know, Dorgu hopefully is going to work out, Sesko hopefully going to work out, Yoro's going to work out, but it's a slow process. You look at Dorgu, I've always liked Dorgu, but this is a great point, right? You look at Dorgu, finally he's getting his flowers, finally people are changing their mind on him, finally people are being patient. But I've been patient with Dorgu. I think he's a good player, and that's what you should do with young players. But imagine if we'd bought like Grimaldo from Germany, from the Bundesliga. He's at Leverkusen, I think. 29, comes straight into the team for the last year, performs really well. Well, he's already done better than Dorgu, hasn't he? And this is what I mean. Dorgu's a good signing, but it's already been over a year. It could be 2-3 years before he's consistent. We need reliability now. But United are going for youth all the time. It's wrong. And also, when you look at Baleba, he's still a very young player. Very young. He's had a very inconsistent season. Is he going to be the finished article for Man United? No, he's going to be another Dorgu. He's going to be another Sesko where we go, we've bought a really good talent here, but we've got to be patient with him. He's not going to hit the ground running, is he? Whereas I think that there are midfielders out there that would. Because United are obsessed with this up-and-coming thing. And it almost feels the same with the manager. Like, De Zerbi's got amazing potential. You know, De Zerbi's got amazing potential. Well, we need a manager for now. Everything's potential, isn't it? Wilcox, an inexperienced director of football. Barada, an inexperienced CEO. Most of our signings, inexperienced talent. The next manager, inexperienced manager. There's nobody in that football club who, one, gets Man United, but two, is ready to go. And I think that's a huge issue that we don't seem to want to resolve. But going back to what I was saying, I haven't analysed this, and I'm sure there will be little niches. I mean, Ekitike at Liverpool is relatively young. Arsenal probably have bought players that are young. But if you look at Arteta's recruitment over the last 5 years, the vast majority of it is players with experience coming into the team. Like Declan Rice had done his work. He'd won trophies at West Ham. He was still a little bit young, but massive amounts of experience and consistency at West Ham. Havertz had been from the Bundesliga to Chelsea to Arsenal. Like Gyökeres is what, 26? Gabriel, Saliba was a bit... They have bought some young players in, but there's a lot of players aged between, I would probably say, 23 and 26 with a certain amount of experience. It's the same with Manchester City. Most of Manchester City's signings are, have experience. Eze is not a prospect, is he? Exactly, Savage. Madueke is not a prospect. They've got a lot of experience. You can be experienced at 21. You can be. You might have been playing since you were 17 in the midfield for West Ham or something like that. Who's the other one? Liverpool. Liverpool predominantly, there are some younger players in there, but I don't know the age profile of Frimpong, Wirtz. But they played a lot of games. They've won a title in the Bundesliga. They played Champions League football. Ekitike is a bit young, I admit that. Isak, experienced. I know it's not worked out yet, but but United follow the Chelsea model, and it's wrong. It's wrong. And but look, more importantly, we need to buy more Volvos. We should get a T-shirt. We need to buy more Volvos. We do. We need more experience. We need more, reliability, consistency. We need to be buying players over 26, and we need to bring an experienced manager in. I just think it's so obvious, but it's completely opposite to what we're trying to do. And that goes back to this story about how, let me just get you this because you'll love this. So I think it came in from the Mail. But let me know your thoughts. You might completely disagree, but I think it came in from the Mail. I just wanted to read this. I actually saw the Red Army, TRA, posted it. So Manchester United are considering an iMAX-style digital season ticket that allows fans to stream matches from a specific section of Old Trafford. So basically, it would be a digital season ticket where you go to Old Trafford for the Arsenal game, and there's a big, massive screen, and there's a big crowd of people watching it, and you can get drink and everything like that. So they're thinking about doing that, apparently. The Red Army have predicted this a year ago, that United would start to sell virtual season tickets for this. Eventually, they'll vastly outnumber actual season ticket holders and match goers. We will be a minority group and treated accordingly by the club. What a time to be alive. Well, look, maybe that's a little bit, too soon to be saying that. But, the way I look at it is, I actually saw some people going, why are people moaning about this? This is the problem with the legacy fans. They're just too stuck in the past. I mean, wow, what's wrong with heritage? I spent half an hour staring at a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about the old days. There's nothing wrong with nostalgia, and there's nothing wrong with legacy. But my point is, these people who were for it were saying, well, if we do this and we make another few million a year, that's good for the club. I go back to what I said at the start. Give one man £10, give another man £1 million. The guy with the tenner might make you a millionaire, and the guy with £1 million might bankrupt you. As we've learned at Man United, spending money isn't the problem, it's how we spend it. That ownership with more money doesn't fill me with any confidence. Probably fills their pockets, makes their share price go up, maybe they get a bit of dividends, but United making money isn't the problem. Look at that shirt behind me. I'm sure it was a record seller. We just finished 15th in the league, and we've just sacked our manager. That's how good that shirt is. It's a nice shirt, but the people in it, load of shit. So the club making money doesn't make us any better if the decisions are wrong. So you could give Man United another £100 million a year. Somebody could gift them the Premier League could say, we know it's going to be controversial, but we're going to give Man United another £100 million a year. No one else is getting it. And everyone could be in uproar. I'd sit here and go, someone's going to go, we're going to be dead successful now because we're getting another £100 million a year. But we're not. That £100 million will get wasted on debt repayment, dividends, shit players, recruiting kids, sacking a manager, bringing in another puppet. It doesn't matter how much money we've got, is what I'm saying. But we still have fans out there that get really excited about, this could be a great money spinner. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, Gromit. More cheese, Gromit. You know, it's like we're going to build a stadium and there's going to be a cinema there. More money, more cheese, grommet. And it's like, the money is not the problem at Man United. It's not the money, it's how we spend it. It's the people, as we've just spent the last 20 minutes talking about, wrong again. Wrong again, because they've got the wrong people making the wrong decisions. Yeah? So, regardless of whether they're going to do this, I'm sure if you buy one of those season tickets, and let's be honest, everyone in this chat's going to go, well, I'm not going to put money in the Glazers' pocket, and some of you will. That's up to you. So they do these digital season tickets in the Stretford End for away games. We break records and we put it out there. You know, we've got an away game at the Emirates and we've got 20,000 fans turning up at Old Trafford to watch it on a massive screen. They're all paying 30 quid each to do it. And on top of that, we're charging £20 for a bottle of water, £10 to wipe your arse, and you get 50 quid, of which we'll give a fiver to Brian Robson for a ticket, for a photo, right? They're coining the money in, right? And somebody goes, this is great, we're making so much money. But then you give some of that money to Wilcox or Barada or Vivell, and they go and buy the wrong people, and we don't get any better. So money's not the problem, it's what we do with the problem. It's what we do with the money, and we've got the wrong people making the wrong decisions. So, yeah. I'm not really that bothered about the digital season ticket or watching it like that. If people want to do that, that's up to them. But you're still going to watch a team that's not going to win the Premier League. And I tell you what, if we were winning the Premier League, you get a lot more people willing to pay a lot more money. But we are a business, and that's all Manchester United is. A business with the wrong people making the wrong decisions, because every decision is about business. Do you reckon we could beat Arsenal with the same squad plus Mazraoui, says Amit? I'm not going to talk about that, mate. It's a news show, and you have a tendency to take us off piste. We will predict Arsenal tomorrow. I think the worst thing is that they want potential, but they don't understand what it takes to turn that potential into success and nurture it through, says Nick P. Look at Arsenal, right? Arsenal have got a fantastically young, talented player in the name of Nwaneri. He's had a little bit of first-team football. Arteta's realised he can't develop him, so he's sending him off to Marseille. Arsenal are top of the league. They're top of the Champions League. Manchester United, 15th last year, just sacked their manager. Bit unknown what's going to happen to us now. Oh, pick the kids. Buy the next Caicedo. Not even the best teams in the league nurture players like that. But we think we can. The model is flawed. There's just... My big fear about United, and I constantly hear this, is that they have this cult, with an L, ideology that they are convinced they are right about, but consistently get proved wrong about. Like, when Sir Jim decided not to sack Ten Hag and give him £300 million, he thought he was right. He was wrong. When he said Sir Dan Ashworth was a 10 out of 10 director for football and recruited him and spent a lot of money on him, and then sacked him, he was wrong. Somewhere along the line, he was wrong. Whether he was wrong to sack him, wrong to recruit him, he was wrong. Amorim, they were wrong. They've been wrong on so many things, and they've not figured out that their ideology is wrong. I think they think that following the Chelsea model is going to make them successful. The great thing is, the Chelsea model has won fuck all. Fuck all. Since Chelsea changed their model under Todd Boehly, what have they won? Did they win the Champions League under Todd Boehly? I don't think they did, but they've not won a Premier League. So we're following a model that a lot of Chelsea fans don't like. Man City are following our model. Liverpool are following our model. And Arsenal are probably following the Man City model, who copied us. Like every Manchester City looked at Manchester United under the Sir Alex Ferguson era and evolved it. Jurgen Klopp looked at it and evolved it. Arsenal have probably evolved it from the Man City model, if we're being honest, and a little bit of Liverpool. So everything's an evolution of something, and we were one of the things that people used to copy. We're not copying our own, we're copying Chelsea. And it doesn't even work. Look, I know Chelsea won the Club World Cup and they won the Europa Conference, but when I say fuck all, I mean Premier Leagues, I mean Champions Leagues. They are the That's where that's what Arsenal want. That's what Man City want. That's what Liverpool want. That's the standard we have. That's where Chelsea want to go. Chelsea won multiple Premier Leagues and Champions League under Roman Abramovich. The Chelsea model under Roman Abramovich is not the model of Todd Boehly. And if you ask every Chelsea fan, regardless of the reasons why Roman's not in charge anymore, the Chelsea model that worked was the previous model. This model of Chelsea hasn't worked. And we're copying that one. Why are we copying it? I don't know. But we're obsessed with buying people under 26, and we're obsessed with a puppet manager with a board that's clueless. And that's wrong, in my opinion. It's wrong. Keel says, before considering a manager, we have to decide how we want to play and commit. No fault of Amrin, but we wasted a year on a strategy they were not, says Keel. Look, more cheese, Gromit. I can't do it now, Mazraoui. He says your voice is exactly like Wallace. But going back to that point by Keel, have you noticed? I'll come back to it in more detail because I want to talk about Ndidi. But have you noticed over the last few days we've had 2 stories from the mainstream media that fans on social media have completely shut down? You can't trust. You can't trust the spin. So one of them was that Michael Carrick was at an under-21 game last night. And I think Simon Stone on the BBC said, Michael Carrick watching the under-21s, something Amrim never did. And then a fan on Twitter said, well, here's a picture of him going there. He did it multiple times. And then there's another one where, what's that? I get mixed up with Rotunda, Rabana. What's that training technique? We never had a name for it when I used to do it when I was under 16s, where it's the passing training thing, you know, where somebody's in the middle. What's it called? Someone in the chat, come on. Rondo, that's it. Well done, Dan. So I think United even put it out there, the Rondo's back, or somebody put it out there a few days ago that United have brought the Rondo back, right? There's literally posts of Amrim doing it in the US tour. And this is what I mean. You've got to think. You've got to think. And I think, look, people criticise communities like this, but we fall out, right? Rashford wasn't out drinking. He was, Mark. You need to shut the channel down. You need to shut your mouth. I was wrong. Mainu's T-shirt, there's no way he knew about it. Wow, he did, you know. I've been wrong multiple times, and we fall out, yeah? That's the way it should be because we ask questions. People come in with more knowledge. Mostly me. But the point, I'm joking, but the point is we challenge. We don't spin. We don't speculate. We challenge. And that's why a live community is really important. A scripted community can put stuff out and sometimes people believe it. And loads of people retweeted that. The Rondo's back, the Rondo's back. And then some bright spark went, well, hold on a minute. Carrick's not brought the Rondo back. We were doing it under Amrim. But it's spin. So why has somebody put it out there that the Rondo's back with Carrick? Well, it's to undermine the previous regime. It's to go, oh, look, Carrick's doing this. We didn't do it under the other one. Oh, why is someone putting it out there that Carrick was an under-21 game just to have a pop at Amrim? Oh, hello, Amrim was at an under-21. So it's just like they're still putting stuff out about the old manager. Now, I don't agree with the sacking of Amrim at that time, but I've moved on. We are where we are now. The club, it's a hatchet job, exactly. The club are constantly spending time spinning when actually the real problems are the problems we just spent for the last half an hour. I mean, look, I've moved on from the whole Scholes but Martinez thing. I think most of you have. I'm waking up this morning and I'm still seeing tweets from very dubious accounts on X who, let's just say, were very pro Sir Jim and anti-Qatar. Lots of those lot. And also, even TalkSport were at it this morning. Still going on about ex-players and the problem they're causing for Man United. There's some bloody presenter on TalkSport, I've never bloody heard of them. And they've done some big monologue about the problems with Manchester United's ex-players. And you know, I'm like, it's a shame you don't do a fucking monologue about the board at Man United or Glinios or the last 2 years. Because I tell you what, that's a monologue I'd listen to. But a monologue about the problem of ex-players, I just find it hilarious because, you know, you can have opinions on it, but like, this is the sort of stuff I'm seeing. United won't be rebuilt through non-stop criticism. We need unity, backing the players and the manager through tough moments, not only showing up to point fingers when results dip. I mean, that's a very, very Glazerite opinion, isn't it? The Glazerites are out, that's what I'm saying. I ain't got a problem with people having a problem with ex-players, the United stand, fan content, whatever. That's life. But it's this spin of now it's like the pile-on of ex-players and they're the problem. Like if Mickey Butt and Paul Scholes held hands and walked around Old Trafford singing United, United, we love Martinez, suddenly we're going to win the league. It's preposterous, isn't it? It's absolutely preposterous. And I think it all goes back to a PR machine that is well run at Man United. It's one of the few things that's run well at Man United. Their PR is so tight. You know, you've got journalists who are basically clients. You've got certain ex-players who are on the payroll as well. And it's blah, 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 blah. And apparently now being critical of the club makes you an outlaw, makes you a criminal. And I'm like, I don't agree with some of the criticism that's been put out there by ex-players over the last few days. I don't agree with it. I've said my piece. But when it flips completely to they're the problem. I mean, amazingly, I am seeing people doing videos, news articles, tweets about our ex-players being the problem. Like people want them to get cancelled. And I'm laughing my head off. I'm there eating my Cocoa Pops and I'm going, more cheese, Gromit. I'm laughing my head off. There's actually a movement to cancel our ex-players from speaking freely, freedom of speech in the media. People actually think they should be stopped. But the club that's in huge debt, sacking managers, fucking up all the time, morons in charge, leave them to it. We've got to get behind them. You know, if anything, we should be singing You're the Voice, try and understand it. You know, arm in arm round Old Trafford. We've got to back them. And I'm like, oh my God. By all means, take a pop at ex-players, but they're not the problem. They're not the problem. The problem is the problem that spins you away from the problem every bloody time. Yeah. I mean, look, I'd like the class of '92 to be the problem. I've got a great idea. If they're the problem, let's let them run the club for a year and see where we are in a year's time. And then if they fuck it up, we can cancel them. But I'd much rather have the class of '92 running Man United than the prats of the circus that we've got at the moment. Manifesting Carrick winning 10 to 15 games, guaranteed Champions League, says Amit. You're really off today, mate. Put PR efforts into the medical team would be 25% better, says Stretford. Where's Delete? Has anyone seen a picture of Delete yet? Yeah, I don't have cheese on my Cocoa Pops. Good observation, CG. Good observation. Okay, right. I want to just go. I'm going to go into your super chats in a minute because we've got a few to catch up on. But there is also a couple of news stories. There was something I saw on MUFC MPB this morning from about Ndidi and talks with Manchester United. How do you pronounce Ndidi? Because everyone's going, you pronounce it like P Diddy. I've always pronounced it Ndidi. Is it Ndidi? Sound like bloody Bob Coleman from Question of Sport. Ndidi, yes, Ndidi. Long ago. That was long ago. But yeah, so we have a story. Let me just read this. Some people are still talking about Ruben Neves. Well, Ruben Neves wants to come to Man United. I'm sure he wants to go to Aston Villa. I'm sure he wants to go anywhere where he can get some game time in the Premier League. Here it is. MUFC MPB about an hour ago. Man United have held talks about signing Wilfred Ndidi. The player is anxious to return to England. And this is from Alan Myers Media, who I've never heard of before. Look, I think you can take it to the bank that United have held talks with Loftus-Cheek or Ndidi or another midfielder. I actually saw that Aston Villa are now in talks with Loftus-Cheek as well. I mean, I don't know whether that makes him more appealing to Man United. But the difference with Aston Villa is that Aston Villa have a midfield of Kamara, Onana, McGinn, Tielemans. They've got 4 top-class midfielders in the sense of Aston Villa. Our midfield is the same midfield that sacked Erik ten Hag 2 years ago. So we shouldn't be looking at stopgap midfielders while people are injured. We don't have any midfielders injured. We need better than what we've got. I think if you're Aston Villa, you might look at Loftus-Cheek as somebody that can just boost their midfield while it has injury problems and then send him back. Man United are looking at a player that comes in and it doesn't even make any sense to me. If I'm being honest, it doesn't make any sense. But with Ruben Neves and Ndidi and Loftus-Cheek, I mean, look, Ruben Neves is probably going to cost money. I don't think United are going to spend money on it. What we should be doing, and I don't want to repeat myself because it's a news show, but what we should be doing is what I mentioned yesterday, is you get a story from The Athletic saying that Man United will only move for a midfield target if another club tries to buy him in January. Well, here's a novel idea. Why don't we try and buy? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, does it? Because you're going, we want to buy them in the summer, but if somebody tries to buy them in January, we will move. Well, why? That means you would. If someone moves within January, you'll move. How about? I can't get my head around it. So basically, if let's say Man City move for Anderson next week, we will bid. Well, why don't you bid then? Why don't you take Man City out of the equation and bid now? If somebody else has to start it, why don't you start it? It's nonsensical, really, when you think about it. I mean, they did say in The Athletic that Adam Wharton is another player on Man United's radar. Like Elliot Anderson, he is drawing interest from several clubs should Palace consider selling. Additionally, United have held preliminary talks with Brighton over the summer, but there has been no progress on that front so far. I don't think we're going to move it for any of them, are we? Look, I said it a few weeks ago. I think we'll end up with... I mean, look, we could end up with De Zerbi as the coach and Baleba as the midfielder. And I don't think that necessarily improves us. Because, again, it's just going back to what I was saying before. It's this inexperience mentality of building for a future. I think United just want to... like Arsenal want to win everything this year. And Man City want to win everything every year. And Liverpool want to win everything every year. And that's sort of their mantra, isn't it? At the start of the season, we want to win all the big prizes. And if we don't win anything, it's disappointing. If we win one, it's okay. So they go into the season wanting winning everything, right? Burnley come into the season wanting to stay up. Fulham probably come into the season saying we have to stay up. And if we can finish in the top half, it's a great season for us, yeah? Brighton come up and say we want to be in between 6th and 10th. I think Man United's mantra at the moment is we just want to be 6th. Maybe 5th, actually. Yeah, 5th. If they all do the hard work so we get an extra spot, we would like 5th. We're not interested in 4th. 5th place, everyone else does the hard work to get the extra spot in Europe, and we'll take that. I think that's what United want now. I think we just want 5th. I think that's it. 5th place, that's the thing that makes the shareholders happy. 5th place. And you know what? You'll never get an honest answer, but it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that that's what... Imagine Sir Matt Busby being told that. Yeah, Man United are happy with 5th now, Sir Matt. That's what we are. I mean, Sir Alex is still alive. I mean, I don't know what he thinks. I don't know. Someone just said it in the chat. Man United, he hated finishing second. Absolutely hated finishing second. And now he's watching a club week in, week out that's ambition is 5th. That's literally our sweet spot, 5th place. We'll be happy with that. We get the money, build the stadium. And on the stadium, by the way, just pops into my head. On the stadium, and I'd say this to every Man United fan, right? Because the stadium is going to become a topic at some point. On the stadium, we are nearly £1 billion in debt, which disgusts every Man United fan. On this stadium, what are you going to do when the stadium gets written off to start being built and you figure out we're another 2 billion in debt? That the people investing into it to pay for it want that back at some point. What are we doing as a fan base when we figure that out, that the stadium is going to get built on debt that we've got to pay back? And it'll be hit, are the club going to admit this? Are we actually going to get this detail? And does anyone actually give a shit? Because you talk about the £1 billion of debt all the time, and we're about to sign up to probably another 2 billion of debt. Now, that might be concealed debt. Oh, we'll pay them back on the profits. Still debt. It's the same as a bloody mortgage. Can I have £1 million to buy a house, please? Yes, you can. You'll give us 1.8 million back over the next 30 years. Well, I've got a house. I'm not really in debt because I can afford to pay it. Well, you are in fucking debt and you're paying interest as well. How are we paying for this stadium? It's going to be, we're looking for investment. Okay, I'm John. I'm having a chat with Jim. I will invest in your stadium. I will give you the full £2 billion to build it. John's going to invest in it. It's not going to cost us a penny. Hold on a minute. Why are you putting that out? Yeah, don't tell them. What am I getting back? Oh, you're getting $3 billion back, John. When am I getting it? Over the next 20 years. Good. Why are you telling everyone you're not paying for it? Because they're idiots. Doesn't matter. So I am getting, it's in writing, John. You're getting $3 billion back for giving us $2 billion over the next 30 years. Great. Okay. I just wondered why you were telling everyone that it's not more debt for the club. Oh, because they're idiots. They don't mind. So this is something that I think the Manchester United Supporters Trust and other groups need to start thinking about. We always talk about the debt. There's a protest coming up when we're playing Fulham, week on Saturday, week on Sunday. There's a protest coming up, and I'm sure the debt will get mentioned. This stadium is going to be built on debt. 100%. It's going to get built on debt. The Glazers are not going to pay for it, and neither is Jim. So more debt on the club. There's people out there that think in 5 years' time when we built the stadium, we're going to be mega rich because we're going to have a bigger attendance and we're going to have people buying pizza and going to the cinema before the game. You've got to pay for it. You've got to pay for that. You know? And Dan says most stadiums are built on debt. I'm not disputing that, Dan. I don't know what your point is. What I'm saying is we're already £1 billion in debt and we're about to build a stadium that's going to pile more debt on the club. My point is, Dan, what do people think is going to happen when that stadium gets built? Because I think some people think we're instantly going to we've won the lottery. We're paying for that for a very long time. I think United are going to cut their cloth accordingly for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Casemiro, Bruno, Maguire, Shaw are staying next season. Amit, you're really boring me this morning. Do you get the concept of a news show where we talk and react about what we're talking about? It's not the Amit show. You think we need a midfielder with aerial ability, says Stretford Signal. I think that's very niche. I mean, look, somebody that's good in the air in the way that football's being played at the moment might not be a bad thing, and Casemiro's good in the air, but I think we need a midfielder with a multitude of attributes. I mean, look, Elliot Anderson's good in the air, isn't he? Do you think Ndidi ever been to Diddy party, says Mazraoui. Hi all, Ndidi just purchased a nightclub in Leicester. I signed up and DJ there. He's moving back as well, says Garfield. Manifesta, done that from Amit. Where do you want to be at the start of 26-27 season? Where do I want to be, Galoose? Or where do I want Man United to be? I want Man United to be in the top, in the Champions League. Remember when they was comparing our rondos to Ajax, saying how rubbish they were under Ten Hag? Was impressed we can do it in front of a crowd at last, says Glenn. We are apparently hire the correct people for marketing, finance and other cash-making positions in the club. How do we keep on fucking up sporting hires, says Slazy. Good point. Keel says, before considering a manager, we have to decide how we want to play. We've done that one. I think the worst thing is they want potential, but they don't understand what it takes to turn potential into talent, says Nick P. Let's buy another larder, says Crixus. Can we trend the clowns are running the circus, says Vincent. Shocked to see a reporter like Simon Stone, who has so much credibility, doing dirty work on behalf of the Glinios. Do they forget internet exists, says Shaunak. And too many chefs in the kitchen, says Aditio. Done nothing, De Zerbi, says Simon. I'm looking forward to watching them tonight. He is definitely going to be on the list for Manchester United. So, and obviously I hope they beat Liverpool tonight anyway. But I'll be interested to see. It's a long time since I've watched the De Zerbi team. My memories of him at Brighton was, again, just too open, too stubborn, you know. But a decent brand of football. Permanent manager must be selected very carefully, says Amit. Thank you very much for that. Mark, the ownership are insulated from loss. The club is in debt. The Glazers are making the profit clean. Just look at their financial model, says Red Devil Packer. And Jim is an alchemist. He's buying up the world's supply of lead that he will convert to gold. It makes perfect sense, says Rory C. And as an engineer, I can guarantee that the initial cost estimates never go as planned. It could end up being more than 2 billion as well, says Structural Mastery. And Red Devil Girl, hope you're doing well, says, do they only want 2 midfielders even if we get Champions League football? If they believed we'd get top 5, they should be bringing in 3. So first 1 in January for the depth, says Red Devil Girl. Look, I think in relation to the transfer window, we could spend an hour, again, talking about why we should have been active in the transfer window, because we should have been. However, I think when you look at, if I was going to copy any football club's model for success at the moment, I would be looking at Liverpool, Arsenal or Manchester City. I would not be looking at Chelsea because they don't have success under this model. The Chelsea model hasn't delivered a Premier League title. Roman Abramovich's model did. He's not in charge. Todd Bowley's model hasn't delivered a Premier League title and hasn't got anywhere near one. So I'd be looking at Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool. And the interesting thing about Manchester City and Liverpool have done it is that, and even Chelsea have done it, haven't they, as well, to be fair, is that if you look at Man City, they've used the 2 January transfer windows to bring in, I think, 7 players. I think in the last 2 January transfer markets, they brought 7 players in, which it's just ridiculously economical, isn't it? It's ridiculously efficient. We're trying to rebuild our club in one window, once a year, and Man City are effectively using 3 a year, or 2 a year, January and the summer. Their efficiency is 100% ahead of ours because they are doubling up in their efficiency. They are using the January transfer market to build their team quicker and better, and we ignore it. And you're absolutely right. If we are rebuilding our midfield, we should be bringing 1 in January, or a winger in January, or a wing back in January, or a backup striker. There are so many issues in that team that you should be using the January market, but we never do. We never do. Anyway, great show this morning. Really enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. I'm on the 2 o'clock show today. It's Beth's day off. Maud's isn't in today, so I'm actually on the 2 o'clock show. And I'm thinking about doing something a little bit different. There's a style of show I've wanted to try for a while. So I'm thinking the 2 o'clock show might be it. So it depends on the news, but we will see. But I'm back with you at 2 o'clock. And again, it's a 7 o'clock show tonight because we are doing Marseille-Liverpool on That's Football. It was a very good watch along last night. Stay safe, everybody. Make sure you've smashed a like on the video. We have nearly hit 1,000 likes, so that's great. Over 10,000 watching again. You're absolute legends. I think people this year want to be in the top 1% in the yearly wrap, which YouTube only started last year. So make sure you're watching all the shows. Competition for the top 1% in December. Stay safe. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Have a great day.